New York's in the house, folks.
Hey!
Hey, Donna Schwartz here from the Everything Saxophone podcast, and we're at the Key Leaves Everything Saxophone podcast NAMM Hang 2020 with my good friend Augie Bello.
Hello. My good friend Donna Schwartz.
Hello. We've known each other for a really long time.
Yep.
I've taught in the district that he went to, so I've seen you when you were actually probably my height. Just many, many years ago.
Back when I was 10.
Yeah, it was. I'm serious. It sucks when you teach elementary school and your kids would get taller than you in the same year. It really sucks. No, but seriously, I've seen you grow as a person, as a musician, and it's just, you know, even though you weren't my student directly, but I feel like a proud mama. Hello, I know your mama.
The amount of advice and influence you've had on me growing up has really, really shaped me, honestly, to be.
All right, hopefully it's a good thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great thing. Except for those couple things. No.
Yeah, I know. Shh, don't tell anybody. Awesome. Well, if you don't know Augie, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself, but he's an amazing player, all right, and he's very humble, which is awesome. So I'm going to embarrass him right now. But like I said, I've seen him grow, I've seen him develop, and every year better and better and better. And not, you know, like he's got technique like crazy, but he's musical about it. So let me have Augie tell you all about himself.
Oh, thank you so much. So my name's Augie, Augie Bello. I'm 21 years old. Currently go to the New School for Jazz, and I'm in my last semester. And yeah, basically I started playing the saxophone when I was 10 years old. And yeah, I've just been, recently I started making content for Instagram about 2 years ago. And yeah, it's just been growing for a while, and I just really enjoy, I guess, making content for Instagram, and soon I'll be putting out some more music.
We're going to talk about that in a second. So who were some of the key people that you studied with?
So recently I've studied with Chad Lefkowitz-Brown, Braxton Cook, Mark Momas. Then I had teachers like Larry Ballaroo, who really, really, you know, they kind of sculpted me into the player I am now. But yeah, I've been really, really lucky to be able to study with Chad and Braxton, because they're basically doing stuff that I want to do. They've kind of paved their own way, they've created their own career, and I feel as if like they don't really have to rely on anyone. Like my biggest goal in, you know, making music and making a career is that I control, you know, my income and what music I put out and all of that. They're people who've created their own audience through social media and through playing with people, and then they're people putting out their own music. So they've really helped me like learn how to go about that. And one other person actually is Adam Neely. Yeah, I took lessons with Adam Neely this past semester. He just really helped with like marketing, social media, and like all of that. And I really appreciate that because it's helped me.
Absolutely. You know, the key difference, folks, nowadays is that back then, when I was in college, they didn't do nothing about marketing. And social media, oh no, well, all right, I'm embarrassed to say there was no social media, but they didn't even have courses about how to be a musician, you know, like living your life as a musician. And so it's great that now some schools do that. Not every school does that.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. I've found that there's a lot of people who go to music schools and they're like the best players I've ever heard. But they practice and they practice and they practice and they get great, but then they don't show people how great they are, which is like, I think a big issue is there are people who will sit for hours and hours of practice, and then they don't know exactly how to then show that to people. And I've just been really beneficial to study with people like that and just learn how to, you know, market myself and show what I'm best at online through Instagram.
And also on the stage too, you know, we talk a lot, he attends the Bitter End Jam, hosted by Richie Canada.
Yes.
Great guy, great player.
Great guy, and amazing player, he's a legend. And he's helped me out a bunch with like, just tips on like how to play, how to present yourself. And yeah, I mean, as a young kid, I've always loved his playing.
Yeah, because it's so melodic. I've done a couple of gigs with him, and I always say the story how Billy Joel told him, the sorry if you guys will be sick of this, but Billy Joel told him many years ago, do you want to create a solo that people will remember 5 minutes from now or 25 years from now?
Exactly. And every single solo from every single Billy Joel record, you can probably sing back. So, and that's the biggest thing is like there's also a lot of players who their goal is to show off their chops. And I can play all this, but like the greatest thing you can do is create something that'll last. You know, play a melody that someone can sing back, because that's what makes a player memorable. Not how many it's not how many notes you play, it's how you played the notes that you did play.
That's tweetable. That's awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Now let me dig inside your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So you attend jams and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's your mindset like? Because a lot of folks are a little leery about going to jams. They're afraid. They're intimidated.
Of course, yeah. There are a lot of different clubs in New York that host jams, and some of them are very like, the word would be vibey, where like you'll play something and if someone doesn't like it, they'll be like, they'll look at you and that I tend to stick away from those jams, because I think everyone has their own sound, everyone has their own voice, and for someone to look at someone and just because they don't play exactly like that person, for that to be frowned upon, I don't think is very cool. But there's tons of jams that I go to where it's like a funk jam or like R&B jams where everyone's attentive and they want to hear what you're doing, and even if they don't play like you, it's still like, hey, that's their style and that's their thing. And my biggest thing is when you go to a jam, sound like yourself. Don't adapt to whatever the jam is. I mean, there's no point in trying to like sound like everyone else. There's people who will look at you because you didn't play 1,000 notes. They're just insecure, So just do your thing, and if people don't like it, whatever. That's still your thing, and if people do like it, even better.
Absolutely. That's great advice. What's interesting? I found in New York the jams are a lot different than in LA.
Really?
I find people in LA are nicer.
Yeah. In New York, it's like very cutthroat. If you're not playing, if the crowd is more bebop oriented,
right,
and you play something a little smooth, they'll be like, ah. But guess what? The people who aren't, big jazz heads will be like, oh, I like that. So there's so many different audiences, and you never know who's sitting in the crowd, and you never know who you're. But here's my thing, which might be wrong, but I always say I'm not trying to play for the musicians. I'm trying to play for a general public. And of course, what I'll do sometimes is I will gauge my audience. So like, let's say I'm playing in front of a lot of jazz people, then I'm more inclined to play a little bit out, because then they'll be like, ooh, and I have fun doing that. Or if I'm playing for more of a pop audience, I know that the pop audience likes more in stuff. So I think it's also important sometimes to gauge the audience.
That's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. And just the fact that you're saying you're gauging the audience, you're not kind of stuck behind a stand or just in your own head.
Of course. It's good to be able to like do multiple things and know after playing for a bit, what did they react to? What are they enjoying? And you can give them more of that. Or there are people who say, just do your thing all the time and like ignore. But I don't know. I've never lined up with that.
No, I think it's great. And just the fact that you're so young at 21 to have that mindset, really, I mean, it's God, most people at that age don't think that way. They get caught up in things, and honestly, people at any age do.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to jams, and I'm going to say in New York, because we spoke about this the other day,
of course,
do you have a predetermined list of tunes that you would play?
Well, so for some jams in New York, I definitely do, and a lot of like the funk jams, R&B jams, it's like Stevie Wonder,
Got it.
Which is cool, and those tunes are always called. But then there's other jams in New York, which this is becoming more and more common, where someone will do their set and it'll open up into a jam. And what that means is that the bass player will start playing some line on the bass, and then everyone will just start building on it. So keyboards come in, drummers come in, and everyone creates something, which I've actually really, really started to enjoy, because it's like, it's happening in the moment, no one knows exactly what's gonna happen, and it lets the music happen, and there's no like box around it. So like, let's say you're playing and you go up a half step, and that bass player follows you, they can keep following you, and you can go into totally different things. So it lends itself to like a really like a cool like style, and I usually like to record those because a lot of my best ideas will come just from like playing whatever happens, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. In New York, I had there was a guy that I had done. It wasn't even jams. This was his thing. This is what he did.
Yeah.
So we do a gig. He just started coming up with a groove on the keyboards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even tell me the key.
Oh, of course.
not even,
Good luck
I
with
know.
it.
Holy crap. So we'd start going. He'd be like, "Okay, play."
Yeah.
Okay. And so you know, you said it's interesting. It's not like you're in a box.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you know what? There's no expectation.
Of course.
It's like sight reading, right?
Exactly.
There's no expectation. You're sight reading.
Yeah,
It's okay,
of course.
You know, so you just have fun with it.
You just go for it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really, really cool.
That's really cool. I know out here, like in New York, I would be able to say, okay, you know, I want to do these 3 tunes, and we do them.
Yeah.
Out here in LA, they call you up. All right, we're gonna do this tune. We're gonna do this tune.
Yep.
Okay. All right, what key? All right, okay.
Exactly. More demands, more. You're gonna do this.
Exactly. Okay. You don't know it? You'll figure it out. Go. Boom. You know?
Yeah, of course.
You know, so we're also kind of saying too that you know you gotta have your ears developed.
Of course. Yeah, of course. It's and you know that doesn't mean like you have to instantly know exactly what key, but you can like play around a little bit before you step in the mic and
Yep.
figure it out. But yeah, I really enjoy jams like that.
Cool. I want to get into technique because
Yeah.
he's got an amazing sound and technique, and we're going to talk about his mouthpiece too.
Yeah.
But you've got a really great control of the Altissimo. So we're at NAMM, we've got some crazy sounds going on here. Sorry, folks. So with your Altissimo, let's talk about your fingerings that you use, if you don't mind. I'm going to hold on to your mouthpiece.
Of course,
If you could just like do like air saxophone.
Yes, of course.
All right. So tenor sax, high A, typical 2 3 1 2 3, right?
Yep, 2 3 1 2 3, or you could do 2 3 with your right hand, right? I'm just lifting these a lot, but 2 3 with your left hand, and a side C. So that's right above the B flat key is your side C. Get an A like that. I like to know a couple of fingerings for each note, just because depending on where you're moving, like what note you're going to, you might want to use a different fingering. So for each note, I know like 2 or 3 fingerings that would work, just in case. You know, I know which one sounds the best, but then I also know which one ergonomically I can move to quickly.
Got it.
So for A, it's either 2 3 1 2 3, or it's 2 3 with the side C. B, I'll play 3 side D.
Okay.
3. Yeah, that's B.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm recording this.
Yes,
It's a
of
story
course.
different than what I know. Okay.
So yeah, it's a 3 side D and 3
Okay.
gets me a B, which tends to like fall off a bit, but you can get it right in the middle and get like kind of a crunchy sound.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Or you could just do 3 side D and that middle C key.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so there's actually like a bunch of fingerings that use the side C, which are like really, like in terms of if you want to play really fluidly, they're great. You can move really quickly in them. But sound-wise, if you want the best sound, there's some other fingerings that I tend to use. Maybe if I pull out my
let's
horn,
do
I'll
that.
show it on my
I'm
horn.
going to talk a little bit while you're doing that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
He uses a tenor madness, tenor sax, and he was using tenor madness actually before other people were using it.
Yeah.
I remember he said he got it in New York, and it's a great horn. Well, your fingerings, have you tried them on like a Mark 6 or other horns?
Yeah, they feel good on those horns too.
Oh, gap cap, by the way.
Gap cap, check that out. And make sure that your horn does not move around the case, which bend keys, bend the whole horn. So this is great. Basically, you just twist it to fit the size of your case, and it basically locks it in there, so that when you move around, your sax does not.
That's awesome. And he didn't practice that either.
Yes. Okay, so if we're doing a high A, 2 3 1 2 3, high A, or 2 3 side C right here. So this is the B flat key, it's right here. B, you can do 3. I'll try to show you 3 3, and that side D key.
Got it. Okay.
That gets you a B. Or you can do 3, side D, and that middle C key.
I'm gonna try that. Okay, cool.
C. So let's say you're playing a B like that. C, you just add that E flat key.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You do it that way. Okay.
Or C, you can do this fingering, which if you don't like your audience, it works well too. I call this the yeah. So you can play that fingering.
It's a forked fingering.
It's a forked fingering.
Forked. Not the other. Yeah.
So that you can use for C, or the side C with that 3, D, and E flat.
Got it. D and E flat. Okay.
Or and then for C sharp, if you played the C here, right, with the D and E flat and that,
yeah.
you could just put down that F key.
Okay. That's different. Wow. I use the F sharp fingering for C sharp. So
yeah. Well, that's the other one I have.
Yeah.
So that's for C sharp. You can do your high F sharp finger, which is this 2, 1, 2, right? 1, 2.
Oh, I don't do that. I do first finger right hand and then the B flat.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do
You had your second finger.
1, 2, 1, 2, and that side B flat.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
And then D, I just use bis.
Oh, so you mean the front F?
Yeah.
Okay.
Front F. Yeah. So.
Front F for high D. Okay, got it.
D.
Okay.
E flat, I just put down that middle C.
All right. Okay.
And then E, I'll either do this, so 2 and 2 in both hands,
Got it. Okay.
or I will do 1, 2, 3, and that low E flat.
Really? And this is just the octave key.
I believe so. I believe so. I might.
You'll have to hit a couple of those when
Yeah, of course. I'll play some of those.
And what about the high F?
High F, I will do E with the D key.
Okay, so and the E's going to be second and second.
Second and second with that D key.
All right.
Or sometimes that's a little flat, and I'll also put the E flat on it.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right? These are so different than the ones I was shown from my teacher, who's a Joe Aller type of student. So.
Well, what I did was, when I wanted to learn Altissimo, I went online a bunch, and I just went through like all the fingerings that I could find, so that I would be able to see which ones work best on my horn, because every horn is kind of a little different, and then B, to find like these fingerings are all weird.
Yeah.
And if you want to play something like quick up there, and you only know, well, for me, like I found that if I only knew that one way to finger it, that like I'd struggle to move quickly. So I just wanted to learn more and more. There's actually some more. For B, you can also do 3, side D, that's it. C, you just add that E flat. C sharp, you add this key.
Oh, okay.
And D, you just drop the F key. You click the side F.
Okay, got it.
So you can do like
I've seen you do that.
Yeah. So that's really easy. And that's why like it's nice to know like multiple, because like you can move really quickly up there and it's like, wow, like you think of your fingerings and you're like, oh, that's not possible. But like if you just check out a bunch of fingerings, it's a lot easier than it seems, because depending on where you are, it might be.
And also your horn too.
Yeah, of course.
So like the modern horns versus like the Mark 6s and stuff like that.
Of course.
Definitely. I thought Larry taught you those fingerings.
Larry did help me right from the start with, he taught me like the basics, A and B, C, but then I started like to really dive into it and like go into like, people ask me a lot of times like what book would I recommend. Like the internet's like the greatest thing I guess these days. You can just search Altissimo fingerings for tenor saxophone and you will get every fingering known to man. Some of them are awful, some of them are great, and some of them kind of get the job done.
Yeah, well, there's also a great free resource. I think it's woodwind.org.
Okay,
and there's,
cool.
Yeah, I should send that to you.
Yeah.
It's got a whole bunch of, it's all Altissimo fingerings in many octaves, and the guy does it for free.
That's great.
And for each note, there's like all these variations and stuff.
Of course,
I gotta make a mental note. I gotta send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I'd love to see it. But yeah, I found that thing that's helped me the most is just being able to, just knowing a lot of different fingerings, just so I can, depending on where I am in the horn, I can, you know, use a different fingering. And I know like which fingerings sound the best on the horn, but I also know like which fingering I can move the quickest. So ergonomically. So like, let's say I'm playing a quick line up there, and I know that note's not going to be sustained. I'll use that fingering where it doesn't sound great, but it'll get the job. You'll hear the note clearly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another thing I'm going to ask you too.
Of course.
Keep a mental note on that. One more thing though. A lot of people want to go for Altissimo notes right away.
Yeah.
You had a solid foundation with your tone.
Yeah. The biggest thing is establishing like a good sound and like your own sound. And then once you can play the notes on the horn,
the written range,
the written range, and you feel comfortable, you know, with your low notes and the palm keys, then I would say start to check out, you know, something above that, because if you don't have your sound down or your tone right, or you struggle with some of the notes like on the horn, then trying to go above it is just going to lead to like you learning them kind of sloppily. And then the sound on the Altissimo, if you don't really have your tone down and really don't have like the core notes down, the sound on the Altissimo can get really
grating.
Yes. You know, maybe you can get the note, but did it hurt everyone in a radius of a mile? You know, it's good to figure that out.
Be kind to your audience
and
your
neighbors.
Of course,
yes. Just gauge them. If you played that high D and 5 of them left, don't play it again.
There we go, audience engagement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, let me go to that other question I had. I also hear you doing a lot of split tones.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And what notes do you usually do it on?
So for sure, one that I do. Actually, I didn't tell this note, but I will play a G sharp. I do 2-3 and this.
Oh,
and
that's
2.
different. Okay.
And this note always, I get right in the middle, and it's like really crunchy sound. So like sometimes I'll hit the note, it'll sound good, and then it'll fall off. And while it's falling off, it gets like this really like gritty sound, which is something I enjoy. Same with A. A, just 2-3, 1-2-3. I'll usually scoop it up from a G sharp. So I play my G sharp with 2-3 in the middle and 2. So I'll go for A and I'll go da da.
All right.
So you get like this kind of sound, which naturally for the G sharp, for my fingering of the G sharp, you have like a grit. So it transitions. It goes right into the A. You have that grit too. But yeah, I for G sharp like that. C sharp with this horn and this mouthpiece, which I do, the fork F, 2, 1, 2, and that side B flat. That note, recently with this mouthpiece, I've discovered that I can play in between a C sharp and an E, and a high E. So I can waver between them like
Like a trumpet lip trill.
Yeah, exactly, which is something I really love to do. And if you use that fingering for C sharp, you have an open enough mouthpiece, then you can like really play with that note, which I really like to do.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. And actually, he just alluded to his mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So within the last year, talk to us about what happened with this mouthpiece.
So 1 year ago, I came to my first NAMM show, and I was trying out a bunch of gear, and I met this guy, Arnold Montgomery, and he makes AM Mouthpieces, is what his company's called. And I met him, and he liked the way I played a lot, and he gave me a couple mouthpieces to try out, and he's like, take them with you, just play them. He was super nice, and for a while I was playing what he had given me, which was the mystery material Luna.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that mouthpiece a lot, and constantly he would be like, let me send you something, and like, you try it out. He would send me mouthpieces all the time, and which was great, because I got to see like how much little details can change, you know, a whole mouthpiece. So the Luna I loved for about a year, and I spoke to Arnold recently about 3-4 months ago about possibly doing like a signature series. and he was really, really down to do it. And he's like, let me send you some stuff, and we'll find something that like you're 100% happy with. So he would send me a bunch of mouthpieces. Try this one, try that one. And we got to a point where it's like, I like this a lot, but I want more projection. And then he sent me this one, which is the Bello mouthpiece. And I instantly, as soon as I played it, I was like, this is the best I've ever played. What I found with some mouthpieces is you can play and you can give it as much air as you want, but there's a wall where that, like, this is the max volume, this is the max, like, sound you're gonna get. What I found with this mouthpiece is like, as much air as I can give it is as much air as it's gonna put through the horn. It doesn't feel like there's anything holding me back, which is what I had with some of my older mouthpieces, where I felt like I'm blowing, you know, I'm putting all this air through the horn, and like that drummer is making it very hard for you to hear me. And this mouthpiece makes the drummer put earplugs in.
Awesome. That's
So
cool.
yeah, of course, yeah. So I've really loved this mouthpiece because while it does that, it also allows you to play with a really like warm, dark tone.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm doing a jazz gig, I don't always have to like, you know, be this loud person. I can also play really softly, and this is the most control I think I've ever had over the horns with this mouthpiece.
And he was using a particular mouthpiece
from my grandfather
for years.
Yeah, so I used to play on a slant signature Auto-Link, which was a great mouthpiece, but it was very limiting. It sounded great for jazz, but the higher you went to play, the more pinched it sounded. So your high notes would be very thin. You can get them out, but there were other times where you'd go to play that note and the mouthpiece would close up on you, and I found that I was struggling to like, because I'm big into playing like pop and smoother stuff and R&B. I like to compete with like electric bass, electric guitar, drums, a vocalist who are all going through PAs. Was always a challenge, and with this mouthpiece I'm able to do that, and I'm able to play at a jazz jam and like tone it down and like have like that warm sound, which is great. Like yeah.
Yeah, mouthpiece is about control, it's about flexibility,
Yeah.
and of course it's about sound and depth of sound and projection too.
Yeah.
What reeds do you use?
So currently I use the Van Doren Java Red Box, and I'm playing on a 3 Hardness.
Got it.
And those reeds are like the best. I've tried other reeds recently, and like there's nothing that comes close. I know a lot of people don't have this, but every reed in the box I put, I go, this one doesn't sound great today, it'll sound good tomorrow. And tomorrow it sounds great, and then it plays for the week. So I love that. I love that about the Van Doren companies.
No, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I interviewed Sylvan Parton from Van Doren. He
Yeah.
says he doesn't adjust his reeds. He just you know, just makes it work.
100%, yeah. Usually, for me, like the first day, maybe they're a little hard, but I have a system where like I will, when I know a reed is about to go, I'll buy a box, I'll wet one, put it in the box, and the next day it's perfect. Yeah. So Van Doren is definitely the way to go.
Cool. Now let's get into your music, because you've got something very special happening in less than a week.
Yes. So in less than a week, on January 25th, my first single with my band is coming out, and it's called Candy. So we're releasing it under Dialed. That's our new band. It's called Dialed, and the song is called Candy. And we're really excited. We've been playing a bunch of shows together and rehearsing a bunch, and yeah, we're excited. We're releasing it the same day that we get to play for, we're opening for Teddy Swims, who's this singer who I recently met, who's incredible, like this incredible vocalist, and I think we put it out the same day that we're opening for him so that we have content. Because the greatest thing is like after you play a show, for people to be able to like still see your music and still follow you. That's a big thing that I've been trying to like do, is like after you see my show, like if you want to support me as an artist, you can check out my music online, you can follow me on social media, and if you connect with that audience through social media and through your music, it's not just they leave the concert, wow, that was great, and then they forget about you. It's like wow, that was great, and I get to continue to follow that person. I get to see what they're doing, and I know when their next gig is. So that's like been a really great thing. It's like putting out, having something out or working on social media so that people who watch you in concert can later check you out and see what's going on.
Absolutely. And what kind of music, can you categorize it?
Yeah, so this first song I think is highly pop oriented. I'm singing on it, and then we have, if any of you guys have seen, I did a video and it was called, a lot of people know it as the pepperoni pizza video, where I pick up a phone and I order a large pepperoni pizza. Well, that video did really well on my page with my friend Orange Bananas, who plays the bass. Great name. Yeah, so that video did really well, and we decided, let's make a full thing out of this. So I would say it's pop, funk, and a bit of electronic because we have some synthesizers in it. But yeah, I'm really excited for that to come out, and I hope everyone, enjoys it.
Awesome. Congratulations on all your success. But
Thank you so much.
I think they want to hear you play.
Yes, I can play a bit. Let's
Cool.
do
We're
it.
going to get you set up.
Let's do it. Does it sound good?
Sounds awesome.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so I guess this is part of Candy. I guess the instrumental version, which will be coming out January 25th. It's going to be a little bit slower, a little bit calmer than that one. This is I Have Nothing.
Thank you.